we're actually going to start a little bit differently because Photopea is rounding up my measurements when I try and do a crop on it. So I want to just create the right size for my initial selfie to start with. So I have a project folder on my desktop right here, and it looks like that. And this is my original source image right here, the color image I took on my phone. So I'm going to actually create a document in Photopea that is 4.25 by 5.5 at 300 dpi so that I could get that original selfie image in there and size it properly. So I'm going to go to File, New, and here I'm going to name this Selfie. This is just our selfie file. So selfie underscore 4.25 by 5.5. And I want it to be in inches, and I want the measurements to be 4.25 by 5.5. And I want it to be 300 dpi. White background is fine, and I'll click Create. Now I want to drag in that image of my selfie, and I want to put it right here into this file. So I'm going to click on Image and drag it in here. And there it is. Now you can see that the bounding box for my transformation is still active, but notice that there's some canvas that's exposed. I need this to fit the whole canvas because that will make it the right size for my project document. So I'm going to hold down Shift to constrain the proportions and resize it to make sure it's fitting the whole canvas. If I don't hold down Shift, I'm going to do weird stuff like distort my face. Don't do that. I know what you guys look like. I don't want you to distort your face. You don't want to come in looking skewed or squished or stretched. So please make sure that you don't do that. So let's do this one more time. My bounding box is activated for transformation. If it's not, go to Edit, Free Transform to activate it. And I'm going to hold down Shift to constrain my proportions, and I'm going to just resize it slightly and position it so that the whole canvas is covered with the image. Once I'm happy with that, I'll click check mark to commit. I wouldn't put your head right up against the top. You want it kind of centered in this area, and you want to have enough background here because you're going to end up putting a headline on your magazine cover and you don't want to cover too much of your face. So I'm happy with this as is right now. So I can save it to make sure that I don't lose that. Let's just save that PSD down. But what I need to do is I need to add a black and white adjustment layer to it. I need to add maybe some other contrast adjustments, and I need to put the halftone pattern on it, the halftone filter. So let's do that next. So I'm going to first add the black and white adjustment. So in my layers panel, I'm going down to my little layer icon options down here. I'm going to click on the adjustment layer, and I'm going to choose black and white to put in a black and white adjustment, and boom, right there, it put the black and white filter on it for me. The next thing I'm going to do is adjust the layer or the brightness and contrast levels. So I'll click brightness and contrast, and I want to maybe bump up the brightness slightly so I get a little bit more texture in my hair, and maybe bump up the contrast slightly. Okay. And then from there, I want to, I think it might be a little bit too bright. I don't want to blow out this side of my face. So I need to take all of these layers, I need to merge them into a smart object layer so that I can enable smart filters. So I'm going to select all of these layers by holding down Shift. Hold down Shift, click on each layer. They're all selected. I will right click to convert to a smart object. Now it merged all of those together into a smart object. The little icon on the bottom right tells me that it's a smart object. From here, this is where I want to add the halftone pattern. So the halftone filter is under the filter menu. It's in the filter gallery. And it's right over here, halftone pattern. From here, I can dial up the size of the dots if I want to. And I can bump up or bump down the contrast. Okay, I think I'm happy with that as is. And then I'm going to click OK. I think I might try and add one more filter to this, like an adjustment layer, not a filter, and it's going to be levels. Let's see if I can put levels. Levels adjust the black point and the white point of the photo. So let's see if I dial this in a little bit, if I get a little bit more. I want to see texture in my hair, but I don't want it to get too blown out. I don't want it to look too gray and muddy. You want the black to be really nice, but I don't want to lose too much of the texture in the hair. Let's see, maybe I'll add a brightness and contrast. Okay, I think we'll stick with that like that right there. I'm happy with this image as is, so I'm going to save it as PSD and I'm going to export it as a JPEG so that I can then bring it into my project document once I set that up. So we'll just save it one more time, save as a PSD, that way we don't lose it. Get rid of the other one if you have the other one. And I'm going to export it as a JPEG. Make sure you're looking at it in inches. It should be the right size. 4.25 by 5.5. Yep, quality. Let's go 100%. Click Save. Okay. So now that you have your selfie ready to go with all the adjustments and with your halftone filter, we're going to open up our project document and get that started. Now it's time to make our project file, the actual 8.5 by 11 document that you're going to use to make your project. So I'm going to go to File, New, and I'm going to call this one P2 for you guys, underscore your name, we'll just call mine sample, underscore pop art, something like that, okay? This one has to be 8.5 by 11 inches. Make sure you're in inches. It has to be vertical in orientation. That means the width is 8.5 and the height is 11. It needs to be 300 PPI, DPI, PPI, and then click Create. All right, there is my document. Now, if you do not see your rulers, you need to make sure that you can see your rulers. So you would go to View and click on Rulers to make sure that there's a check mark there. The keyboard shortcut to show your rulers is Command R. So you can always turn them on and off. Command R to turn them off, Command R to turn them on. Command or Control, depending on what you're working on. I need to draw guides. I need to divide up my canvas into quadrants. So I'm going to drag guides down from the ruler. So to get guides, you click on the ruler, click and hold and drag. 11 divided by 2 is 5.5, right? So I need this one to be at 5.5. And then I need to draw a vertical guide to split my page horizontally this way. And this one needs to be at 4.25. Ooh, that was lucky. I just dragged it perfectly out. Again, if you're going to walk away from your work, make sure that you save your file. If you're going to close out of Photopea or close out of your browser, make sure that you save your file. All right, you don't want to lose this. So I'm just going to save it right now to make sure that I don't lose it. You can also Command S to save regularly while you're working on it in Photopea. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to drag that selfie that we just put the black and white and halftone filter on, and we need to drag that and put it right in here. I'm going to grab it and drag it. Yeah, it came in. Okay, if it doesn't come in, you can always go to File, Open and Place, and it should place it for you. Now, what I want you to notice is it's perfectly sized because we did that first to fit right into this top left quadrant. It's perfectly the right size. So yay, we're very happy about that, okay? And if you put it in any quadrant, it's the right size. In fact, let's make copies of it and put it into the other quadrants. So right there, I'm happy with that position. I'm gonna commit to it. You need to make 3 more copies of this and put it in the other quadrants. And you can do this a lot of different ways. You can copy and paste. You can drag down the layer and drag it to the new layer icon down here, and it will make a copy of it. And then you go to the Move tool and just simply move it over. Okay, that one I actually, look, I moved it without keeping it in the right plane. So hold down Shift and it will move it correctly. You can also, you can hold down Option, click and drag to make copies of it. That's the really quick, easy way to do it. And this is how I prefer it because it's a keyboard shortcut. So I'm going to hold down Option. I'm on the Move tool. I'm on the selfie copy right here. Option, click and drag. And I've got a copy there. And I'm going to do the same thing, Option, click and drag. And I made the 4th copy right over here. Pretty straightforward. I've got 4 copies. So what I'm going to do is now that I've made all 4, I'm going to name them. Naming your layers, organizing your layers is part of what I'm looking for this project. It is one of the requirements for you to do this. So don't miss out on this part, okay? I can tell in this one's the bottom left, and I turn it on and off and I can control that. So I'm going to double click on it, call it bottom left. This one is bottom right. This one is top right. This one is top left. Before I do anything else, now that I have them named, I actually want to experiment with a little transformation on these by flipping them or mirroring them so they're not all facing the same direction. Now this part is up to you. Do you want them facing each other? Do you want them facing out? Do you want the 2 on the top going this way and the 2 on the bottom going this way? It's totally up to you what you want to do here. So have fun and experiment a little bit, but the way you do it is, let's see, I'm going to go to the top left. I'm going to go to the top right, and I'm going to flip the top right the other direction. So edit is where you go, edit, transform, and go down the transformation menu to flip horizontally and click flip horizontally, and it'll flip it the other direction. So there's some mirroring effects that you're going to get here. Now, if I wanted to have those ones facing out, but the bottom ones facing in, let's go to the bottom left and let's face that one. Edit, transform, flip horizontally. Yeah, I don't really like the way that looks. It feels unbalanced, like it feels like there's too much here and not enough here. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to go to the bottom right, and I'm going to flip that one. Edit, transform, flip horizontally. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. I like the look of that. All right. All of that's pretty good so far. There's one other thing I'm going to do in my layers right here, and that is I'm going to kind of put them in order if I'm going clockwise around, because I think it'll be easier to work that way. So I'm going to put top left on the top right next to it, and then bottom right, bottom left. So top left, top right, bottom right, bottom left. So that means that I'm moving around my canvas in a clockwise order. This is just an organizational tip, okay? But they're in order that way. The next thing I got to do, you guys, is I have to make layer groups, because I'm going to have to keep this stuff organized as I keep putting stuff onto this file. So the layer groups is this little icon right down here. There's a new folder. I click new folder, and I'm going to make actually 4 of those. Okay, I don't want a new layer. I want a new folder. I'm going to call this one top left. I want it all caps. I'm going to call this folder top right. I'm going to call this folder bottom right. And somehow I lost, oh, my other folder got inside that one. This one will be bottom left. Oh, the organization, it's thrilling. Then I'm going to move these guys into the correct folders. Top left goes into top left. This is the part where it gets a little bit tricky. Go in. There we go. See how it's inside now? Top right goes into top right. Bottom right goes into bottom right. Go in. Bottom left goes into the bottom left folder. So now I've got 4 folders, and my files are inside each one of those. Bottom left got inside that folder somehow. Hold on a second. I don't want that in there. I actually don't need that background image, but there we go. Okay, so bottom left, bottom right, top left. And when they collapse, they're all nicely organized. This is an important step. Don't forget it. Okay. save your work. Now make selections and color stuff in on this image. Now, remember, this is the same image 4 times. So I don't need to make the selections 4 times. I need to make the selections once on one of these quadrants, and then I can make copies of those, just like I did make copies of the photo, and put them into the other layer groups. If you're making a selection of your hair 4 times, you're doing it wrong. You don't need to do that. So you can actually turn off these other layers so that they're not a distraction and just focus on this one right now. So I had said you need to make at least 4 selections. Every time you put a new color on, you're going to want a new layer. So 4 selections, like this could be hair, it could be skin, could be glasses, background is a selection, clothes, skin is a selection. Depends on what your photo actually looks like, but you need at least 4 different selections. For every selection, you're going to fill it with color. You want a new layer for each one of those, okay? So let me just start by making a selection of the background. So I'm going to make a selection of the background. You can experiment with the different selection tools. The quick selection tool might not work as well for you on this because of the halftone pattern. The edges are a little bit harder to detect. So you might have to experiment a little bit with which selection tools you use. But that's part of this project, is which selection tools you use to select the parts of your image that you need, combining them, using them in different combinations, using Shift to add to your selection, using Option to delete from your selection. That's part of this project. Okay. There's that. Holding down Option. All right, let me just see what that looks like because I can't tell. There we go. So there's my selection. Let me clean this up a little bit, okay? I'm going to add this part right in here. We'll fill that with color. And I want to get rid of this part right here. So I'm just going to select it and click delete. Okay. And I'm messing up my face right in here. So I'm going to select right in here. Delete. Delete. Okay. Make your selections, clean up your selections properly. Once you have that background selected, that's when you start each one of those things that you're gonna have background, skin, you'll start to play with the blending modes, okay? So I'm gonna actually open up another file where I've progressed a little bit further on this so that you guys can see what I've done. Once you make all the selections on this layer, you can then copy them to the other sides. Here is my top left. Let's say that's the selection that I just made. Obviously this one's cleaner. The selection that I made of the background, okay? Now, remember I said you have to make 4 selections? I also selected hair, I selected skin. Skin doesn't have to be a natural skin tone, by the way, it could be anything you want. I did earrings on mine, I did lips, and I did my glasses separately. Okay, so once you've done that, and none of those layers are on top of the photo, they're in separate layers, they're all labeled, they all have their own individual colors. This is what you need to go for, okay? But once you've done that, you don't need to do it again for the other sides, okay? You only need to make them once and then you make copies. So there's my top right folder and there's nothing in there except for the photo, but I just made a copy of my background. So I'll drag that copy into the top right layer group. And it's not showing there because it's on top of this one. So I gotta move it. So I'll move it using the move tool, move it over. There it is, look, there it is. But remember, I flipped my photo in the top right, so I have to flip my selection of this background. So I'll go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontally, and it flips it. You might have to reposition it slightly. And then I don't want them to all be the same color because I want to vary the color as a pop art image does. So I'm going to Command or Control click on this layer, which will select all the pixels on this layer. Command click. This is the keyboard shortcut you don't want to forget. Command or Control click on the thumbnail on any layer, and it will select all the pixels on that layer. And now that it's selected, I can recolor it. So I can click here, choose a different color, click OK. Option delete to fill it with a new color. And I can change the blending mode there if I wanted to. So here, I can change it to overlay. I can change it to screen, color dodge, linear dodge. I can change it to color burn, multiply, darker color, pick whatever you want. And I'm gonna do that for each one of these things. So let's make a copy of hair. Hair, drag hair down over to the top right group. And I'm gonna Command or Control click on the thumbnail to select the hair. It's over here, so let's move it over. I gotta flip it. Edit, transform, flip horizontally, get it into the right position. Let's pick a new color for my hair. Command click on the layer for my hair. Let's make some blue hair, yo. Blue. Option delete to fill it with color. And I'm gonna change the, I think we said heart light. Nope. There we go. Command D to deselect. So basically, that's the process that you're going to go through for each one of these quadrants. Do not make the hair selection 4 times. Do not make the skin selection 4 times. That is the inefficient way to do it. Do all of your selections, all of your individual things on one quadrant, and then make copies of those and move them into position for the other ones. Flip them, transform them, do what you need to do, change the blending modes, change the color. The key is going to be remembering those keyboard shortcuts. Okay? I think I'm going to stop there because I think